So you should be looking at page 498. Today we're talking about measures of variation. Measures of variation is describing how the data is spread out, how it's distributed. So this is one step beyond what you did last year. Mean, median, and mode tell you about a measures of center, where that middle part is. In 7th grade now, we're going to talk about not only those numbers, but also how it's spread out, because how data is spread out sometimes also gives us information about it. From last year, you remember that the range is the difference between the greatest value and the least value. So 5 take away 0 would be 5. The range is 5. Now, today, we're going to learn quartiles.
We have a visitor. I don't want to interrupt right now, but if I come 5 minutes before the end of the day, will that be fine?
Before the end of the day? Perfect.
Because it looks like
yep.
Busy. Yeah, thank you.
So quartiles, notice that a lot of our vocabulary words today had the word quartiles in it. What do you know? What other word starts with
Quarter?
Like a quarter, and that's what happens is we're dividing the data into 4 equal parts. Each part's a quarter, and quads have 4 wheels. That prefix tells us those things. And so, we know the median divides the data in half, right? And there are 2 2's in the middle. The average of 2 and 2, you could add it together and divide by 2, but if you have 2 of the same number, it's just 2. Notice that the median is not part of the data. The lower quartile then means if I cover up the median and everything above, the lower quartile is the median, the middle of the lower half of the data. Well, if this is the bottom 50% and I divide it in half, then each part is how much of it? It's a quarter, because half of a half is a quarter. So we're dividing that into chunks that are 25%. There are 8 data points. There's a 1 and a 1, which means the median must be what number? 1, because they're the same. Or you could do 1 plus 1 is 2, divided by 2 is 1. You could find the average, but if they're the same, they're just the same. That's the lower quartile. It's the middle of the bottom half. I'm with you, Mrs. Smith. The upper quartile then is I'm going to cover up the median, and this is the part where 7th graders mess it up. You have to cover up the median. It's the middle, the median of the upper half. Ooh, I have a 3 and a 4 in the middle because I have 8 data points. What do I do if I have 2 numbers in the middle? Good, I find the average. You could add them together. 7 divided by 2 is 3.5. I have a number of people say, but Mrs. Smith, I know 3.5's in the between those two exactly. That's a perfect way to do it as well. Because really the average is just what's in the middle of those 2 numbers. Okay? So now we have 4 quartiles. We have 4 parts of our data. 1, 2, 3, 4. Divided up by the median, which you already know. The lower quartile is just the middle of the lower part. And the upper quartile is the middle, the median, of the upper part. So now that you know that quartile means it's in quarters, those words not too tricky. I'm with you so far, Mrs. Smith? The last vocabulary word, half of the data is between the lower quartile and the upper quartile. Here's 25% and here's 25% more. The middle 50%. The range between there and there is the interquartile range. That means it's the range, the biggest and the smallest, the difference of that of the inner quartiles, the middle 50%. It can be, but that's why we're breaking the words up right now. So if you have questions, please let me know. And we're just going to keep doing these words over and over today. By the end of the hour, if you don't know, I'm concerned. Right now, if they're, I think I get it, but I'm not sure, I'm okay. And so, the measures of variation, that we're paying attention to today, how the data gets spread out, are the upper and the lower quartiles. Well, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 data points. What's the median of those 7 data points? Grace,
20.
How come?
Because it's in the middle of 14.
Perfect. There's an odd number, and the middle one is 40, so that's the median. To find the lower quartile, you cover up the median. What's the lower quartile of this data? What's the lower quartile? Destiny. Why? Why is 18 the lower quartile? Perfect. I got 3 data points. That one's in the middle. How do I find the upper quartile? How do I find the upper quartile? Do I cover up the median or not?
Yes.
You always cover up the median. Not Grace. Someone else tell me what the upper quartile is. Tom.
29.
How come?
Because it's in the middle of 24.
Good. I've got 3 points. That one's in the middle. Okay. The interquartile range of this data is the difference between the upper quartile and the lower quartile. 29 is the upper quartile. 18 is the lower quartile. I find the difference. It's 11. So there's 11 spaces in the middle, 50% of the data, the middle half. And then the range, 6th grade word, biggest number, take away smallest number. That's the range. I think I'm with you, Mrs. Smith. Think so?